I never should have gone down there. That's the first thing I need you to understand. If you've ever walked the streets of New York late at night, you've probably seen those iron sewer grates, felt the heat or the foul air pushing up from below. Most people just keep walking. But I've always had this curiosity about places I wasn't supposed to see. That night, it wasn't curiosity that dragged me under. It was work. I had been hired by the city for a temporary maintenance job. Simple inspection, they told me. Just walk through the tunnels, check the pipes, and get out. They even gave me a map, one of those faded, yellowed sheets with lines so complicated it looked more like veins than pathways. I should have turned it down, but the pay was good and I needed it. The moment I climbed down the rusted ladder, I felt the weight of the city vanish. Above me, life went on. Traffic, laughter, shouting. Down there, it was silence. Heavy, pressing silence. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, landing on wet bricks, dripping pipes, and a narrow stream of water crawling between my boots. The smell was overpowering, a mixture of rot and rust, so strong I had to cover my mouth with my sleeve. I kept telling myself it was just a job. But as I walked deeper, I began to notice things the city reports hadn't mentioned. Dolls. Old, broken dolls scattered along the floor, their eyes missing or cracked, their hair matted with filth. At first I thought it was some sick prank, kids throwing trash through the drains. But the further I went, the more dolls I saw. One of them was lying face down in the water, its porcelain hand sticking up as if reaching for something. I bent down, shining my light on it, and that's when I noticed the stains. Dark red streaks soaking its dress. I froze, staring at the current that carried the doll past me. The water wasn't just dark, it was red, not the brownish red of rust. This was thicker, heavier, like blood. The silence pressed in harder, broken only by the distant sound of dripping. I pulled out the map, my hands trembling. The lines didn't make sense. It didn't match what I was seeing. Corridors stretched longer than they should. Some turns weren't even on the paper. I thought maybe I had taken a wrong path, but deep down, I knew I hadn't. Then I felt it. Not a sound, not a sight, just a presence, like something had woken up the moment I stepped in. I swept my flashlight across the tunnel, and for the briefest second, I caught two reflections. Not water, not metal, eyes, glowing faintly, watching me from the curve of the tunnel ahead. I blinked, and they were gone. But the feeling stayed, heavy, suffocating. I could almost hear my own heartbeat echoing against the walls. I should have climbed back up. I should have left everything behind. But I didn't, and that was my first mistake. I don't know why I kept walking. Maybe I was trying to convince myself it was just a trick of the light. Maybe some reflection from my flashlight bouncing off wet stone. But the air grew heavier the deeper I went, like the tunnels themselves were closing in, pressing me forward, suffocating any thought of turning back. Every step echoed unnaturally loud, bouncing around the tunnel, as if there were more than just 2 feet moving. At one point, I stopped and held my breath, listening. For a moment, the sound of dripping water filled the silence. Then came something else, a shuffle, a dragging noise, just behind me. I spun around, flashlight trembling in my hand. The tunnel behind me was empty, just black walls curving away into darkness. But the sound, it didn't stop. It was faint, distant, but always there, following. My hands tightened on the map, trying to find some sense of direction, but the paper was damp now, the ink bleeding, turning lines into smudges. Still, I pushed forward, deeper, until I came across something that made my stomach turn. Another doll. But this one wasn't broken. It looked newer, its porcelain face still pale, its eyes intact, staring directly at me. The body was half submerged in the red water, but its head rested perfectly above the surface. It almost looked alive, floating with that glassy gaze fixed on me. I backed away, nearly slipping on the slick stones. My light swept over the wall, and that's when I saw something carved into the bricks. Scratches, dozens of them, words etched with desperate hands. Some were too faint to read, others smeared with rust and filth, but one message stood out clear enough. Don't follow the map. My chest tightened. My instinct screamed at me to climb back, to get out before whatever was down here found me. But something about that message pulled me deeper. Why write it here, in a place no one should ever be? The dragging sound grew closer, louder, wet, as if something with long limbs was pulling itself through the water. My flashlight flickered when I aimed it into the dark ahead, and for a second, the beam caught movement, something tall, hunched, with arms that scraped the walls as it moved. I froze, the air sticking in my throat. Its head tilted when the light touched it, and then those eyes glowed again, red, burning, fixed on me. I stumbled backward, my boot splashing in the water. The sound echoed, and the thing responded. Not with a roar, not with a scream, but with a low, guttural breath. A sound so deep I felt it in my chest before I heard it in my ears. I ran. I don't remember making the decision, but suddenly my legs were carrying me, splashing through the crimson current, slipping, scraping my hands against the damp brick as I shoved myself forward. The tunnels twisted and split in every direction. My ruined map crumpled uselessly in my pocket. Behind me, the sounds followed. Heavy splashes, long, deliberate strides, not fast, but steady, relentless. And then as I turned a corner, my light landed on something lying in the water ahead. It wasn't a doll this time. It was a body. The body was face down in the water, pale skin glowing faintly under the beam of my dying flashlight. For a moment, I couldn't move. My brain refused to process it. But when I forced myself closer, I saw the truth. Its clothes were torn, soaked through with the same dark liquid that flowed past me. Blood. I reached out, trembling, and flipped the figure over. My stomach twisted. The face was frozen in an expression of terror, mouth open in a silent scream, eyes wide and empty. And then, I realized I recognized him. He was wearing the same reflective vest I had on, a city maintenance worker, someone like me. The flashlight flickered. The body's mouth gaped wider, as though something inside was pulling at it. And then the sound came, a wet, gurgling inhale, as if the corpse was trying to breathe through lungs filled with water. I stumbled back, dropping the light, plunging the tunnel into near darkness. When I scrambled to grab it, I heard splashes, not behind me, not in the distance. Ahead, the body was moving. Its limbs jerked unnaturally, twisting, breaking, as if invisible strings were yanking it upright. I aimed the light at its face and saw those same glowing eyes, the same as the thing that had been following me. I ran again. This time I didn't care where. My lungs burned, my legs screamed with every step, but the tunnels never seemed to end. Each turn led to another corridor, another stream of blood, another whisper of movement just out of sight. And then I saw it. The ladder. The way out. Its rungs climbed up into a circle of faint yellow light. My escape. My salvation. I sprinted, slamming my hands against the rusted bars, pulling myself up as fast as I could. Below, the sound of splashing quickened. Heavy footsteps echoed, closer and closer. My arms shook, my boots slipping on the wet rungs, but I forced myself higher. Halfway up, I looked down. I wish I hadn't. It was there, standing in the water, head tilted back, staring straight at me. Its body was tall, twisted, human but wrong. Arms too long, back bent at an unnatural angle. And those eyes, those burning, red eyes, they locked onto mine, and in that instant, I knew it wasn't chasing me to kill me. It was waiting. The light above me seemed farther away now. The rungs stretched longer, the walls narrowing like the tunnel itself was shifting to trap me. I climbed faster, desperate, until finally my hands reached the grate. I shoved it, pushed with all my strength. It didn't move. I screamed, ramming my shoulder into it, my fingers slipping on the slime. The footsteps below stopped. Silence. Then, breathing. Not mine. A hot, rancid breath washed over my ankles. I froze, tears blurring my vision, still pushing, still fighting against the unyielding grate. The breathing grew louder, closer, and then I felt it. A hand, long, clawed fingers wrapping around my leg, cold and wet, pulling me down. I don't remember what happened after. I don't know if I ever made it out. All I know is this. If you ever find yourself near the sewers of New York and you hear something breathing in the dark, don't go down.
Subscribe to Horror Stories.